Hello. Today is Monday, January 26th. Welcome to Coffee with Cohen. I am Councilman Phil Cohen. I'm broadcasting to you today live from my home in Hoboken. Welcome to this, my 115th community event. Coffee with Cohen is my opportunity to keep in touch with you about uh, issues that affect our community. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're joining us live or whether you are watching us on my Facebook page after we've saved this. I'm really glad that you made the time to join us today. And today I am pleased to welcome a special guest, Hoboken Housing Authority Director Marc Recko. Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Councilman. I'm pleased to be here.
Director, if it's okay, I'd like to share a little bit of background about you for the viewers of Coffee with Cohen. For those who don't know him, Marc has served as the Executive Director of the Hoboken Housing Authority for over a decade. He brings to the job more than 40 years of experience in the housing and public service field. His extensive knowledge and longstanding commitment to public housing has guided the HHA's work supporting HHA residents and strengthening our community. And from a personal perspective, he's been a great partner with me and the folks that I represent in the Fifth Ward, including my dear friends at Fox Hill Gardens, where I see him regularly. So welcome, Director, and Happy New Year.
Thank you, Councilman. Glad to be here. 2026 is going to be a great year for us. Looking forward to it.
So the first thing I'm wondering, the first thing I'd like to ask about is why public housing is so vital in Hoboken. Not every community in New Jersey has a public housing authority, which operates under HUD. And I'm wondering if you could walk through Hoboken's HHA and for folks who are not familiar with your operations, what are the services that the HHA provides?
Sure thing, Councilman. Housing authorities have been set up since really the 1930s in the United States, and we operate under a state charter, and our board is appointed by a mixture of the mayor, the council, and the state DCA, and that board sets our policy and hires me. The Hoboken Housing Authority has 1,357 units under us, about 24 buildings that we operate throughout Hoboken. Our primary mission is to own and operate and serve low and moderate income families. Our buildings, our apartments give low income individuals a chance to afford to live here. And as many of us know, with particularly the current rental situation, the question often is, where do school teachers, where do waiters, waitresses, where do folks that are disabled live? And often we are the housing that can house these folks and these families. And so we are essentially landlords. We own and operate these buildings as a housing authority, and we do have a contract with HUD, and HUD gives us the subsidy to allow folks to pay a reduced amount of rent. Our residents, families pay 30% of their income for rent and utilities, and HUD, in their wisdom, depending on how they're feeling about funding us, makes up the other part of our income. So there's really two main income streams that we get to own and operate our buildings, and that's a contract with HUD, as well as the rent that residents do pay us as 30% of their income. So our buildings are old. They've been around quite a long time, which we can talk about in a moment or two. But our mission is to house low and moderate income people throughout our community.
And how many people are you currently housing in the Housing Authority, Director?
The number of people is a bit over 3,000, and we have about 1,357 housing units, which is a mixture of elderly and disabled buildings, three of them, as well as our family developments, which are Harrison, Andrew Jackson Gardens, Christopher Columbus Gardens, throughout Hoboken.
Okay, that's great background, and I think it'll be very helpful for the rest of our discussion today. First, before we get into the long-term issues in front of the Housing Authority, I'm wondering in the short term, How did the housing authority survive the big storm?
Talk about current events. Yeah, it's been an interesting 48 hours, as we all know here in Hoboken. Um, uh, Thank you all for what we've done so far in the storm. Our crews are still out there doing another round of salting and cleaning up after this storm. It's been major, as we all know. So my message to any residents that may be listening: hang in there. We're continuing to clean up. So far, we've got no reports of slips or falls, which is always our main focus, to keep our residents safe. We want everyone to be safe out there. As we do our final cleanups, I just have to give kudos to our maintenance guys who've been working kind of around the clock the last 36 hours.
That's great. Actually, I think some of them might be trying to join our meeting director. So I don't know if there's anyone over there. You could let Lourdes or Frank know that they can watch us over on my Facebook Live page.
Okay,
I don't, so they don't feel like they're being ignored because because you're the only person who's coming in on this meeting.
I see.
But that's good news. I heard from City Hall. I was on a call with Mayor Jabor this morning, and I'll talk about it later in the part of my updates after you leave, where I do my regular updates. That the city also had a very successful day yesterday. We're not out of the woods yet. We got 9 inches of snow yesterday, but not a single auto-related accident, not a single injury that was snow-related. And from our perspective, I know like yours, if people are safe through an event like a storm that we had, which was pretty epic, that's a
Yep.
win. So
Yeah,
I know,
we
I
haven't
know
had
that.
one of these in a long time, have we, Councilman? Um, since we've been this um, inundated with snow, and I do think this is a good entree to the rest of our conversation too, because the housing authority and the city work very well together. Um,
Yeah,
and Through this storm, we've been in constant contact with the city's OEM and sharing some resources. And I think all of our efforts are to keep our residents of Hoboken safe.
yep. So with that as sort of as a background, I'm wondering if you can give me an overview, and to the viewers of Coffee with Cohen, an overview of the current revitalization efforts that are currently underway for the Housing Authority. I know this has been something that you've been focused on through your entire tenure there,
Yes.
and I know it's been something that's been an extraordinary effort for you and your team. And I'm wondering if you can give an overview to the community about what's going on with respect to these revitalization efforts.
Thank you, Councilman. And I know that was the reason I was so excited about getting on with you today is starting to bring everyone up to speed on where we are. Back in right about 2020 is when we really in earnest started our redevelopment efforts. Our buildings are 60 to 70 to 75 years old. They've been around a long time. They're outdated. Our systems are consistently failing. We've got 10-story buildings with one old elevator in it, and it just doesn't make sense um, that to try to keep up with it. It's impossible to do overall maintenance on them, and it's time to do a total revitalization on our buildings. It's really past time. So we started this effort back around 2020 with developing a strategic plan for how we were going to approach our redevelopment at the Hoboken Housing Authority. And the city, nonprofits, communities. If you'll remember, we had a long series of meetings developing our strategic plan with all facets of the community. And we published that strategic plan back at the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. That you can find those resources on our website. Um, uh, we, by the way, won a statewide Smart Growth Award for that plan, and we're recognized statewide. So since that time, um, we've been working on kind of the background of getting together the legal structures, the financing structures, the things that we need to move forward with our redevelopment plans. Um, so we've been moving. And I think 2026 is going to be when you see us coming back out as the spring comes with some more large community meetings to talk about where we are in our redevelopment plans. We have formed an independent uh, uh, development, non development organization. That's a partnership between the housing authority and a developer that is going to kick this off. We've received preliminary approval from the city to be the developer on this project, and we really thank the city for their cooperation, the city planning departments
I
in,
believe I voted. I voted on that
and
issue.
we appreciate that. And we're really moving forward. We've been a little quiet since the strategic plan, and that may be one of my messages here. Is since the strategic plan and all those meetings, we've been a little quiet because we've been working on the gears in the background and getting ourselves set. It takes a lot of HUD approvals. It takes a lot of New Jersey Housing Finance approvals, a lot of things that we had to set up in the background. And I think we're ready now to start taking off from here on revitalizing our community. Uh, our main goal is protecting housing, low income and moderate housing for the next 70 to 100 years in Hoboken. It's crucial that we make some steps now so that our children, our grandchildren can have the opportunity to live in Hoboken in low and moderate income housing.
So I just wanted to share some renderings when you talk about what the future of campuses of our housing authority would look like. Here's a rendering, and maybe you could give a little bit of background to people of what we're looking at and where this is going to go if
I,
things go according to plan.
I sure can, and thanks for that. Yeah, our plan on phase one of our project is to build a building, a brand new building on what is a parking lot that we have at our Harrison Gardens site. It's right next to Fourth and Jackson, right across from Mama Johnson Field, and this is an initial rendering of what our first building we think is going to look like. There may be a few changes, but overall, this is what we're aiming for. This building will be approximately 165 units. It will be a mixture of 1, 2 bedroom units. And we expect that we'll be able to break ground on this new building um, in the spring of 2027. I know that sounds like a long way away, but in terms of financing public and assisted housing, it's right around the corner. And we're set up to move forward. So once we build this building, and this is different than many other projects around the country, we are going to build a building first, so none of our residents have to be displaced. The concept is build the building, move residents from some of our existing old deteriorated buildings that will move into this building, and then we can go ahead and demolish and rebuild on the sites of our existing buildings. So no one has to be displaced. No one has to move off of our sites. This is a firm commitment that's been made by our board and by our staff. It's been a commitment, I believe, that the city has followed up with clearly with me, that we are going to protect our residents and make sure that no one loses their unit as we do this. And hopefully everyone, as much as possible, has one move into a new unit. And this will be new modern units that will be set up for the future moving into the next 70 years.
Well, clearly, I mean, looking at this, comparing to the existing conditions at this location and what's across the street from Mama Johnson Field, this is a transformative look for the housing authority.
It is huge. And again, if we don't do something with our buildings as they stand now, they're not going to last another 20 years, 10 years. They're,
Yeah.
they really need help. So really the answer is to tear them down and rebuild. And the immediate answer is to build our first building first. And what you're looking at here are our renderings of our first building. In that building, you'll see green space. You'll see areas that residents can congregate outside. In our project, we're talking easily about resiliency, stormwater resiliency, energy savings. We are expecting this building to be almost carbon neutral, energy
Is that
neutral.
is that an array of solar panels on one side and a green roof on the other? That's what
It
it looks
is.
like. Yeah.
It is. And so it is going to be what they call LEED certified, if not better, which means it's going to be carbon neutral. We are looking at that open space both on the building and outside of the building. And I should say that we're also cognizant of social and community issues. We want to make sure as we go through this idea that the housing authority is separate from the rest of Hoboken. Um, we want to stop that. We want our vision is that when we're done with this, you will not know you're in public or assisted housing as you walk through Hoboken. That our buildings will look like the rest of Hoboken, that we will be fully integrated into the community, and our residents will be fully integrated into the community. So there won't be this idea that we as a housing authority and our residents are separate from the rest of Hoboken.
I mean, it's very exciting. And I'm just to be clear, is this rendering a different look from bird's eye looking south as this building? Is it the same building we're
It's the
looking at?
same building looking the other direction.
Great.
Yes.
And what's going on this roof over here? I see the people hanging out or walking around. Is that supposed to be a public space for
That's a
residents?
public space. That's a public space that people can be at. Can people go out and picnic and get a little bit of sun and have some parties, that type of thing, as well as the space right below that green roof space as well. There's another space that you see up
Mhm.
there that is also a community space. So we're building those community spaces into the buildings.
I
Um,
actually went to a project like this. My wife was the general counsel of an organization in the South Bronx that built affordable housing like this, and they actually had a community garden on the top of one. I see like little green plots or in the middle, and people actually like grew their own vegetables and stuff on the top. I mean, that was just a
yeah,
thought, but
yeah, no,
I think
yeah,
it's
go
great.
on. Councilman, and I want to say, I'm glad you said that because as we go through this process from here, right, this is a conceptual drawing, it's pretty good, but we are going to be having a whole series of community meetings that you as a councilman, our residents, our neighbors, our nonprofit organizations will be at and involved in. And these ideas, as we formulate our plans, are great ideas. Let's bring them up. Let's have those conversations. Maybe rather than just grass, maybe one of these areas can be community garden, either that or on the ground floor. So
Yeah.
we're really open to that. This is a process. This is an evolution, not a revolution. So as we finish doing these plans, uh, we're open to those suggestions. I'll say quickly the designation of the housing authority as the developer here um, will give us that opportunity to get everyone's feedback. And it has given us the opportunity to start getting serious with the architects and engineers in the city of how exactly this is going to look like in some of the fine points. So please, as we advertise our community meetings, come along and we want your input. I want your input and we'll take them seriously.
So, I mean, there's so much going on in this plan, and I'm just wondering how you think the residents will experience changes in their lives day to day from the conditions that they're dealing with now to what they could expect in these new revitalized structures.
Yeah, thank you, Phil, because this is all resident centered. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for our residents, and the whole purpose of this is to make our residents a good, safe, secure living environment for the future. Right now, with our buildings, again, with elevators that are one elevator in a 10-story building and 7-story buildings that are 70 years old that have custom parts, um, all of that can be in the past. We can now supply, we'll now be able to supply our residents with new modern buildings with air conditioning, 24/7 security, all of those elements that any building in Hoboken may have. And I think that's what our residents can look forward to in the future, as opposed to kind of the outdated design and ideas from the 1940s.
Sounds awesome. Uh, and I assume with respect to maintenance and the amount of expenses that you're dealing with, just keeping these buildings operating and safe and secure, that I would suspect that your administrative costs of maintaining new efficient buildings would be significant.
Absolutely correct, Councilman. Our costs on basic operating, as the building gets older, our operating expenses go up considerably. By the way, thank you, boiler guys, for keeping us warm the past couple of weeks because you don't know the background. They're out there, they're out there working on these systems and patching them and keeping them going for everybody, heat and hot water. And that kind of expenditure is just ridiculous. It just doesn't work anymore because these systems are so old. So yes, our operating costs will go down, which is one of the reasons we can invest more in design and building good, solid, strong units for the future and buildings for the future, as opposed to just throwing money into old buildings and and infrastructure.
I think you said that the first building that we looked at, you were thinking the timing would be the spring of 2017 that construction would begin.
Yeah, 2027, right?
I'm sorry, 2020. I got the seven
Close enough.
right, but I got the one wrong.
Right,
2027. Yeah,
right.
spring of 2027. It's the spring of next year.
Yes.
Uh, I believe that things are going to be going, and this is my understanding from being in the council, that things are going to go in sequence. That once that first building on the parking lot is built and people will be moving into that building, then the building that's vacated will be destroyed, and that will be the site for the next construction on the project.
Correct.
I got that
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Correct. It's really like a domino, right? So once we have the new building and our residents are safely and without cost to them moved into a new, brand new unit, then we'll have a vacant building or three we expect at that point. Those can be demolished, and then the new building can be built there, and then so on as we move through all of our buildings.
So you said it could be three buildings that would
Yes.
move out. So this domino effect, obviously, it takes time, right, to
Yes.
build and then to demolish and then to clear a site, then to rebuild a site. This is not something that's going to happen quickly, but can you give us a sense of the time frame of each phase of the project and how many phases are there and how long do you think it's going to go?
Sure thing. Right now, we're talking about 4 or 5 phases. We may be able to do some phases concurrently, but we're really focused on this first phase now. We're expecting anywhere from 5 to 10 years by the time
Wow.
we're finished. I mean,
Wow.
there's no way. It's just got to take that time and make sure we do it right. And I think once we get the first phase and everyone understands that we know how to do this, I've had plenty of experience. Our consultants have had experience. Once we get through there, we may be able to speed up that process a bit. But honestly, it's going to take some time
Mhm.
to get all this done. I think in the top view of redeveloping 1,300 some units, 5 to 10 years is a reasonable time. So
And and what I actually think that's fast, but
yeah, it is.
I mean
We're,
I think that's impressive that you could
we're
do
moving.
this in 5 to 10 years. What percent of your campus will have been relocated and would you say, you said there's 3,000 or so people
Mhm.
or residents there, uh, and I think you said 1,100 units. But
Yes.
what is is this the entire housing authority or just a large percentage of it that you plan on?
Yeah. So if you think of the housing authority, for those of you that know Hoboken, the main campus, which is what we call back by the light rail, where we have 800 and some units there on our main campus, we would expect that entire campus to be transformed entirely, entirely. I think you'll come back here 5 to 6, 7 years from now, and you will not be able to tell our main campus from the rest of Hoboken. I'll give you an example. Third Street does not run through all the way to the light rail. It stops at Jackson. We are not integrated into the community like that, and you will no longer see that. You won't be able to tell. So yes, that our entire main campus will be demolished and rebuilt. The entire main campus, which is our Harrison Andrew Jackson Garden sites. Um, at the same time, we will be looking at our Christopher Columbus site between 8th and 9th over near Adams, and our three elderly and disabled sites, our Monroe Gardens, Adams Gardens, and Fox Hill Gardens. Those buildings we do not expect to demolish. Those are great, but they do need substantial renovation. Um, and so we will be looking at a substantial renovation project in those buildings as we move forward. And again, we may be able to do that simultaneously with our main campus project. But we want to get this first one under our belt. I'm a big believer in evolution, not revolution, and one step at a time to make sure
Yeah.
we do it right and make sure we're protecting the rights of every single resident we have.
Yep. Well, I would say this is a pretty massive evolution that you're talking about
It is.
with
It
respect to
is.
that main campus. Um, you did mention, and I just want to just refocus on it, uh, your commitment to not displacing any residents during this process.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering if you could just give a little more specificity to that because
Sure.
obviously, well, maybe it's not obvious, but I've heard that there have been other communities where this process has taken place, where there have been representations made to
Yes.
residents that don't worry, you're not going to lose your home, you're not going to be
Yes.
displaced, and then lo and behold,
Yeah.
those representations did not come true. So I'm and we have cynics amongst us,
Of course.
and that's part of leadership is that we hear people who question and wonder. And I'm wondering if you could just give a little more specificity to that point because it is critically important for the residents who live in buildings on that main campus who I'm sure would love to be in a building like the one that we showed a picture of but also don't want to risk being displaced.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks for that because that guides me every day as I come into the office to protect our residents. There have been public housing projects that have been done in the past. Jersey City is a great example. Um, they did one and it was mishandled, in my opinion. Folks lost their units. From the inception of this, our board has committed to the idea of protecting each and every resident family. I've committed to that. Our staff has committed to that. And to me, the guarantee there is that we ask every one of our residents to be involved. Um, Come to city council meetings, come to our board meetings, continue to hold all of us leaders accountable. Um, I've been asked, Mr. Recko, you're committed, but what happens when you leave? Or 20 years from now, we've got a new council, we've got a new housing authority board. You get hit by a bus, right? Uh, it's going to take the community. And from the onset, we've had strong community participation. And I ask the community in Hoboken to keep us accountable and keep our board accountable into the future. We are committed, and I want everyone to know we're absolutely committed. We've put it in writing, and we'll continue with that commitment. But it's also going to take our residents and our resident leadership to make sure that, and I want this when I'm gone, make sure people are still involved in holding us all accountable as leaders to continue to fulfill that process. I will make an asterisk there that HUD has also learned here. And sometimes HUD doesn't learn, but they've learned from the past programs where public housing has been redeveloped. They have put in many more restrictions to housing authorities, particularly under this program called the RAD program, where resident rights are more protected. So not only do we have that spirit here in Hoboken, but I think you can be assured that HUD's going to be watching over us to make sure that folks aren't displaced and aren't losing their units in this process.
It's great. Well, thanks for that, Director. And I guess I would just wrap up with asking you, well, two things. One is we have not gotten any questions, although I hear that there is a nice crowd of people watching us, which is terrific. And we say hi to them and thanks for joining us. But none of them have asked questions, which is unusual because, I know people like to ask us questions.
Mhm.
If they do have questions for you, if they're not seeing this live, they're seeing it later, or they have questions they want to ask of the Housing Authority, what is the best way to make those requests?
Well, there is a link over on our website, and I would ask everyone to keep up on our website, number one. And number two,
What
there's a
is the
link.
what is the address of your website, Director? I'm
It
sorry.
is that's a great question. I just Google it, Hoboken Housing Authority when I Google
I
HobokenHousingAuthority.com.
will Google it too, and I will add it to the comments so that
And
people will be
yeah,
able to
thank
find
you. And
it.
that's where I get it. And also on our website, we've got a direct link to our Nixle. The city has a Nixle, but so does the Housing Authority. So please sign up for our Nixle, because important events and things like that, we're Nixling out to folks uh, on a constant basis. So you can reach us that way. And I will also ask you, Councilman, to put my direct email onto that. For those of you that have a pen, it is Mrecko. That is my name, Mrecko, at myhhanj.com. So I'll be glad to accept any questions you may have as we go through this incredible transformation over the next couple of years.
Okay. I did get a text from Mayor Jabbour during our discussion. She told me that Stevens Institute recorded 11 inches of snow, which is
Wow.
I had heard 9, but Stevens, they're the engineers.
Yeah.
They counted 11 inches. So, but yes, Director, I will have your email and also a link to the website included in the comments. And I guess just in closing, if there's anything else you'd like to share with the community about the Housing Authority and the future of public housing in Hoboken.
Well, I think as we enter this, I just want to re-emphasize that this is a community project. This is something that we have a strong partnership with the city. We have a strong partnership with our nonprofits and our residents, and we are committed to continuing that. So, if please pay attention. We're going to be having community meetings. I'll be glad to meet with any group that wants me to meet with them and be fully transparent on showing our progress as we really get to the nitty gritty over the next 12 months. And so keep in touch and watch us grow and watch us transform Hoboken. I'm really looking forward to it.
Director, I actually got a question from a resident for you. It's a good one, actually. It's from Rosanna. She wants to know, as far as the rodent issues in the housing authority is concerned, is there a plan for controlling it when the buildings start coming down?
Yeah.
Is Can you address that concern?
Yeah, absolutely. Rodents are Hoboken wide, but absolutely an issue. We have an extermination company. As our buildings come down, we have noticed that as construction happens throughout Hoboken, the rodents tend to expand from there. So we'll be paying special attention. Now that's over a year from now. As our buildings start to come down, we will be expecting that we'll have to do some special rodent control. For those of you that haven't heard through our other meetings, we are having a new a trash collection system installed this spring throughout the housing authority in cooperation with the city that are going to be rodent resistant trash receptacles and dumpsters, which should help us significantly with the rodent problem. But yes, and our new buildings are going to be so much more rodent proof. Going back to our 70-year-old buildings, we've got 7-year-old buildings that have passageways for rodents all over the place. And as they try to enter the buildings, we patch up those entry points. But it's really a fight against those critters. And we'll continue to fight. We aren't going to stop on that level.
And let me just say for Rosanna's benefit, that we've had plenty of demolition up here in the north end of Hoboken where I live, and it's an issue there as well. Whenever you take down a building that's been there for a long time, the city requires that rodent traps be put as part of the construction process. I'm sure those rules will also be in effect with respect to demolition on the Housing Authority campus. It's not limited to any part of Hoboken. Whenever you do a lot of digging and major excavation, our friends who live in dark places tend to emerge. So, just rest assured that is not an issue just for the Housing Authority. That's an issue that all of us have to deal with in Hoboken. But I think it's
And
great.
Roseanne, I would also like to give you specific. Get in touch with me if you've got a specific issue that you're experiencing in your unit or in your building. I'll be glad to have our maintenance crews pay special attention to your area. We know it's a problem everywhere. We do know how to keep them out of your unit, and we will continue to work with you.
It's awesome. Director, thanks so much. And thanks so much for your unending commitment to serving the people in the Housing Authority. It's made a huge impact on us. And I'm really happy to be your partner in the work that you do. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Vice versa, Councilman.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
So we had some news in Hoboken. We You may have heard we got ourselves a new mayor elected. And I'm gonna have you're welcome to stick around for this, Director, but I know you're busy, so
I'm gonna sign off my video anyway because I
all
always like
right.
to hear what you have to say.
So here we have this is right after the inauguration that took place on January 15th. We have a new mayor, we have a new city council, and uh, and it was really a wonderful ceremony. It was a thrill to watch Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill administer the oath of office to Mayor Jabour, and my new council colleagues, Caitlin Layson and Steve Firestone, and Joe Quintero, who was reelected. And here are all but one member of the city council. I think Paul might have taken off after the speeches, but he was there as well for all of the new council. And if you haven't seen the inauguration, it was a joyful event. It was really very personal to the people who were elected and to the mayor. And I encourage you to watch it. I'm going to have a link in my social media feed below in the comments in the section where you can watch it, check it out. You can hear Mayor Jabour's speech. You can hear uh, Governor Sherrill's remarks, Senator Mukherjee's remarks, Congressman Menendez's remarks, as well as Steve Caitlin and Joe. So check it out. I was also sworn in on the 15th. We had our reorganization meeting of the City Council on the 15th of January, and I was honored to be elected by my peers to be council vice president. It's a role that I served last year, and I'm honored to do it again in 2026. This year, my council president last year was Jim Doyle, who served really well the city of Hoboken for over 12 years. And our new council president is Councilman Ruben Ramos. And I'm really looking forward to working with Ruben and the rest of the council in a new chapter. With respect to housing affordability, we were talking about our housing authority issues where we have over 3,000 residents living in affordable housing that's run by the Housing Authority and Director Recko. One of the big things we've done in Hoboken is fight against landlords sharing non-confidential information about lease terms, lease prices, so that when rental organizations when folks are looking to renew their leases or renew their rents, they can get a fair shot and not have price fixing amongst different buildings, make it prohibitively expensive. there, there's a number of buildings that I represent in the Fifth Ward where people used to go down to the management office and say, "This is what you charged me last year. This is what you're charging people down the hall. I think a reasonable increase would be X." And the building will come back and say, "Listen, that was then, this is now. We're going to have to charge you, four times the increase that you think is fair because that's what the market can fill. And if you move out, we can get that tomorrow, and we have the data to show that." We think that's a reflection of the fact that a lot of these buildings and corporate landlords are relying on non-confident, non-public data, confidential data, and we enacted a law in Hoboken prohibiting that. Jersey City has also prohibited that. And in Trenton, there was a legislation that I came before the Assembly Appropriations Committee and testified in support of, uh, to have this done on a statewide basis. To my left in this picture is James Solomon. He was the mayor-elect of Jersey City. Both Hoboken and Jersey City have been in the forefront of having these changes made locally. And I was happy that the state's Assembly Appropriations Committee voted this out of committee, and the full Assembly on January 12th also approved it. The Senate did not vote on it, so I think it's going to be carried over into the next legislative session, where I hope that it passes on a statewide basis. But this is the kind of thing that I believe is important to stand up for affordability on a statewide basis. I was there alongside members and representatives of 32BJ SEIU, the largest property and service workers union in the country, who have a lot of people who take care of buildings the same way that people maintain the housing authority campuses, who are porters and janitors and people who really rely on affordable rents. They were there alongside of us. Community activists were there. And again, I want to thank the members of the Assembly Appropriations Committee for voting this out of committee. Uh, Next up, I want to give you an update about some new developments with respect to the North End of Hoboken. There was let me just change the view here, speaker. So uh, at our council meeting in December, we approved four redevelopment agreements that were approved on December 17th. Oh, and by the way, before I move on, Barbara Reyes congratulated me on being elected council vice president. Thank you, Barbara. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for your leadership on the housing authority. I know Director Recko relies on your partnership and the hard work that you do leading the board of commissioners of the Hoboken Housing Authority. And thank you for your service to our community, Barbara. Back to the North End redevelopments. There was a major vote that we had on our last regular meeting on December 17th, where we approved four redevelopment agreements. They were often known as the Rockefeller property, the Rockefeller Group. This achievement and this approval reflects years of careful planning, collaboration, and work by Mayor Bala, city directors, and our community partners. We approved a comprehensive redevelopment plan for some long vacant sites. When you drive into Hoboken through the North End, you're greeted by pretty unsightly uh, piles of rubble on a number of properties. Those properties will be transformed into 729 new homes, including 73 affordable units, 48,000 square feet of publicly accessible open space, a protected bike lane on 15th Street, significant new ground floor retail, and 275 units of 275 parking spots. I mean, a brand new municipal garage. A number of people have complained to me and to Councilwoman Fisher in the second ward that we really need parking lots uptown. Uh, and we've heard you, and we changed the plans to include a 275 space municipal parking garage. Not only will we have a brand new garage that will not be built at city expense, but the revenues from that garage will go to the city of Hoboken. So we're going to get a brand new parking garage. It's going to be a municipal garage, and the revenues will flow right to offset our taxpayers' tax hikes and tax increases, which is something that I know that we're really interested in. In addition, the public gateways and public spaces include access to Weehawken Cove and our fields at 1600 Park. And I have served on the community development subcommittee for the last 6 years, and I have to say that I am really delighted to see that that this project has been approved and is going to move forward. So I'm going to try and see if I can move to the next slide. Doesn't always work. Yeah, maybe I'm not going to get to the next slide. I'm going to stop sharing. Who knows? Maybe I'll figure out a way to get to move my slide forward while I'm talking to you. Uh, let's see. The last thing I wanted to mention was we did have 11 inches of snow, and you know, we did make it through okay, which is really a great thing. We were we were really challenged with the state of emergency. I think that Mayor Jabbour did a really great job in keeping us in touch with what's going on. And I saw her videos about moving cars and everything else, and it was really great to see that. I think I have figured out how to share this last slide. I mentioned that I heard that we got 11 inches of snow, and this is the chart from Stevens Institute of Technology that shows us where at Hoboken and First Street we got 11.2 inches of snow, which is pretty amazing. It's a pretty big snowfall. But most importantly, our public safety, OEM, police, fire, uh, everybody really worked hard to make sure that people were safe. There were no automobile related accidents and no injuries that were snow related. And I think that was because people heard the message to stay put, stay indoors, be prepared, and protect yourselves. And I'm really happy that people did. So this concludes my first Coffee with Cohen of 2026. I want to thank Hoboken Housing Authority Director Marc Recko for joining me. I really appreciated his thoughts, his comments, and his commitment to serving the people in the Housing Authority. I thank him for sharing those pictures of what the renderings will look like for our new properties on our new campus that's going to be re-envisioned and construction will begin next year, and so much to come. If you have any questions or comments, you can always email me at hobokenphil@gmail. I'm happy to stay in touch with you. Wishing you and your families a healthy, happy, safe 2026. And see you at the next Coffee with Cohen, folks. Bye, everybody.